My name is Tyler.
And my name's Louie, and today we'll be talking more playoff hockey and other things happening around the league.
Carolina, I think last year their tickets or their franchise got revalued. I think they sold tickets for 2018, 2019 for around 500,000, and recently just sold tickets for 3 point something million. And I would say that's an amazing accomplishment for them.
It's
just
insane.
with the surges and the stuff, they've created a brand, and I think that's going to create them a good team for the upcoming years.
Yeah, it's like Vegas. Vegas was the new thing on the market. They were fun, but it's the same thing with Carolina, with the storm surge. But also, with them getting far in the playoffs, people are starting to believe in the Hurricanes, and I think it's good because you want to develop hockey in non-traditional markets, and Carolina is obviously a non-traditional market. And people like Don Cherry are always gonna rip on them with a bunch of jerks things. But personally, I like the fact that you got a franchise that is finally succeeding. Well, not finally, because they do have a cup and everything. But you know, it's good to see them getting healthier as a franchise. And also there are some dedicated, real dedicated fans down there. So it's good to see them getting rewarded.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's like a turnaround, especially. It's like Vegas. It just happened in a year or two, and now they've kind of redone it with a team that's been established in previous years, but now it's almost rebranded itself.
Yeah, and it's like Vegas almost because there is some ragtag elements to this team. Like Mrazek's a waiver pickup, McElhinney's a waiver pickup, but they're riding these goalies into the third round now, and they're playing for a chance at the cup. So it's not nothing, and you see that building, it's rocking every night. So it's fun to see.
Yeah, I know. It's really another type of Cinderella story, although not maybe Vegas last year. It's still something that you want to see in the hockey world.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of Carolina, let's get straight into the playoff talks. Carolina, there were some question marks coming into the playoffs. They're a wild card team. And I didn't really think that they were going to do much damage against the Islanders. So they took out the Islanders in 4 games, which is insane considering the Islanders just came off a sweep against the Penguins. So what do you think about this series, and are the Carolina Hurricanes for real?
Honestly, I would say not really. I'm gonna think about the Isles, right? They really beat the Penguins by playing a really good style, but I don't think that it's a big opponent for Carolina. I'm just not certain about Carolina being a powerhouse. I know they won in 4, but I still think that the Isles are no Bruins. So I think that yes, Carolina is amazing and they have a really good system and stuff, but I don't really think that this 4 or this sweep represent them winning or going for the cup. I just think that it makes them a worthy foe for the Bruins, and that they're still going to have to play their game and not take this easy.
Yeah. No, I think one key thing is that the Islanders as an opponent, they're not really playoff tested. They don't have the experience that the Bruins have. The Bruins, a lot of their players have been there and been on long runs and even won the cup. But the Islanders, this is their first time winning a series in a long while, and they just sort of switched out their leadership with John Tavares leaving. So I don't see the Islanders as a very experienced team. I think they ran into a streaking Carolina Hurricanes, and they didn't really have an answer. So, the Hurricanes outplayed the Islanders. They couldn't score. But I think the Bruins are a different beast, as you say, because they're more playoff tested, and not only can they play a good shutdown game like the Islanders can, but they can really score with that top line.
Exactly. Yeah, and they've also had I don't know if you remember us talking about the trade deadline, but I talked about Marcus Johansson. And
Yeah.
recently, he's been firing it up. He's got like I think 3 or 4 goals in the playoffs, and he's like on the third line. And even Charlie Coyle has also been really important. And I feel like those guys, although they have Marchand with like 15 points and stuff, I feel like those Coyle and Johansson add up to that like unsurmountable mountain for Carolina. And I think that Boston Bruins have a real chance for going for the cup. And like I said, I don't really like the Bruins. I just feel like they have the team this year, and Rask has also been firing it up.
Yeah, Rask has been insane. I mean, it's their cup to lose, honestly, at this point.
Yeah,
Or I won't say their cup to lose, but it's their cup final to lose at least. Like the only way that Carolina's gonna beat Boston, I would say, is if Boston loses themselves. You know, like they lose their
yeah,
game or their identity, or
kind of
maybe
like Tampa.
yeah, or maybe if Rask's really like craps the bed, which he has done in the past. Like it's not unheard of with him, but I feel like
Yeah,
this year he's really on his game as well. You see him, he's very focused, and when a goal goes in, the floodgates don't open. He just gets right back into it, and he just focuses on
exactly.
making the next save. So I think Carolina is going to put up a worthy fight. But I mean, if we're ready to make predictions here, I would
Yeah,
probably have to go with Boston in 5 or 6. But
I was
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
go 5.
I was gonna say the same thing, but honestly, I think it might have to be in 4
In 4,
because
wow.
yeah, because I don't see Carolina being able to steal a game.
I
Like,
don't know.
I just feel like, I mean, it's either 4 or 5. Like, I don't see it going past that. Um, then again, we might be totally wrong, but I just feel like it might be 4, maybe 5. But
I think
yeah,
Carolina's still pretty hot right now. So, and at certain points during game one, which is kind of our first taste as to how these teams match
yeah,
up, Carolina looked into it. They admittedly they crapped the bed, but they were really in it at some point. So I think they can hold up on certain occasions. I could see it going 6 at the very most, but yeah, I think ultimately Boston's just more clinical, and they're gonna
yeah.
take them out.
I'd have to agree with that. Um, the only thing I see is like if Svechnikov becomes like this amazing scorer and like Aho fires it up, they might have like a chance for Game 7. But then again, like
Yeah,
not
as
sure.
well. There's some holes on the Boston lineup. Like they're not invincible. Char's not what he used to be. You watch him in the highlights and he's getting turned. So his foot speed isn't where it used to be. But I don't see it. Like I'm going over the rosters in my head, and like on paper, but even in execution as well. I think Boston is just that little bit above where Carolina is right now. But making
Yeah,
it this far might help help fuel the Hurricanes. And who knows, maybe the Carolina Hurricanes are going to become the Boston Bruins type of team in a few years, where they're going to become like seasoned and they're going to know what it takes to win, and then you
yeah,
have to watch out.
yeah. And to be honest, I don't know if you watched the series against Bruins against Columbus. I wasn't even sure the Bruins were gonna win at some point because
No,
like
me neither.
if it wasn't for like a few mistakes from Columbus, like Columbus was really dominating at some. Like Seth Jones was playing amazing. Matt
Yeah,
Duchene was firing it up.
Seth
Like
Jones is potential Norris candidate material,
yeah,
honestly. I think I think the thing about Boston is, though, to that point, they make you pay for the mistakes. Like if you make mistakes,
yeah,
even if you only make like a small amount of them, they're gonna finish on their chances and make you pay for it. So
yeah. They're opportunistic. Like if let's say like at one point Panarin forgot or lost the puck at the blue line in the Boston zone, and then just went away 2-on-1, scored.
yeah, yeah, I remember
Like
that play.
they just have a way of just like putting it in.
Yeah, and they believe. I think they believe in themselves, which is again you gotta in a way you almost have to lose to win in some cases because this group is battle tested and they know what it takes. They believe in their ability. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think we're both in agreement there that Boston's gonna take this one.
Yep. If we want to go, maybe talk about the second semifinal, Blues against the Sharks. Honestly, I was not seeing the Blues winning against Dallas,
I'm
so
gonna
I was
go ahead
surprised by
and
that.
say that I did and that I believed in these Blues the whole way.
Yeah.
I
Well,
picked that's like the one thing that went well on my bracket is that I picked the Blues over Winnipeg, but I'm
I
gonna
mean, it
relish in
did
the
go
one
in seven.
victory. Yeah,
It
it did.
did
No,
go
it
in
could have gone either
seven
way.
games.
It could have gone either
So,
way. No,
um,
well, this one's an interesting one. I'll let you start. What do you think is gonna happen in this series?
honestly, I'm no fan of either team, but I think that the Sharks have some kind of luck. Like,
I
I know you
know.
mentioned this previously with like the two weird calls. I don't know if you want to talk about that after, but
Yeah.
I just think that the Sharks this year have some kind of luck towards them, so I feel like they might win this round. Although I would
Yeah.
still see the Bruins winning. I'm just thinking like I
Or
don't know. The
the
goalies are
Blues, you
going to
mean?
be really important.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know what you want to say about that.
Well, we'll get to the weird calls in a bit, but yeah, it's like San Jose has this weird voodoo about them this year, and I think I saw this stat earlier. They've already been through 2 rounds in 4 elimination games, and they're still here. So, both these franchises, I would say, really need a cup win because both these franchises obviously don't have a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna. It's really close. All the reason in me is telling me to pick San Jose because it doesn't look like Martin Jones has any plan of slowing down or going back to the first 2 games to his terrible form that he had in the first 2 games. And I think on paper the San Jose Sharks are a better team,
Yeah.
although they're Carlson may be having some issues with his injuries, and even like guys like Vlasic, they're not looking as good as they used to be. But on paper, I'd say San Jose is the better team. But I'm gonna go with the Blues just because I have this gut feeling about the Blues. It's like, they're riding, Binner, and I don't know, they just seem like they're poised,
I'm
and
gonna have
my
to go
heart tells me to pick the Blues to go all the way to the Cup final on this one.
in how many games? The Blues in how many games?
I'm gonna say 7.
7 games. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say 7 games as well. But I'm gonna say for the Sharks, and this is why. The reason I think is Brent Burns.
yeah. Burns has
This
been playing
guy,
great.
I think he's played like around an hour more ice time than the player following him. So I'm like, this guy is a beast, and like him, they have so many guys that are like icons, like Thornton, Burns, Carlson, Vlasic, like you said, Pavelski, Couture, Timo Meyer is playing amazing too. Like Evander Kane, like those names, you'd think that it's almost an all-star team.
I mean, they added Nyquist as well.
That too, like,
And
and
when
then
you're
you
leaving
have
Nyquist off the list,
yeah, and then you have Jones in the net. So I'm like, I
yeah,
see
who's
this
playing
team
amazing.
winning.
He's
Yeah,
he's really standing on his head. But it's like, you know, if he's had that much ice time, like he's not a young guy anymore. When is he gonna slow down? Like, is this sustainable? And I feel like although yes, they have that star power, the Blues just they figured out the style of play that they need to play to win. Especially with their new coach. They're
Craig
just they
Berube.
Yeah, they've kind of figured it out for me, and I keep thinking to myself, like the Sharks should have been. Well, I'm not gonna say they should have been eliminated, but if you think about it, in the first round, because we might as well go into this now. In the first round, you got the 5 minute major where it shouldn't have been a 5 minute major. It was a cross check. Yes, it should have been a penalty. It should not have been a 5 minute major. They scored 4 goals. Yes, it's their fault because it was the fault of the Golden Knights because you just can't give up all those goals on one power play. You just can't do it, and they choked. But Marchessault was talking after the game. He was saying, this doesn't happen if it's just a 2 minute penalty, and I think that's right. So already the Sharks could have been out there, and then in the game 7 against the, or not game 7, but, or yeah, it was game 7 against the Avalanche. There's a offside review, which offside reviews are already questionable, and it's really close. Could have gone either way. The goal gets called back, so instead of 2-2, it's 2-1, and that's where the game got out of hand for the Avalanche. So, you could really say that the Sharks are holding on by a thin margin here. So, when does that thin margin, when is that not enough for them to keep going forward here?
Yeah, but honestly, I don't see the Blues stopping them. And if I look at the score right now, because at this time of the recording, it's currently 5-2 for the Sharks, going to the third. And, I just see the Sharks as being too overpowered in terms of offense, and Jones backing them up. So, then again, I'm going to repeat myself, but I say Sharks in 7 and Bruins in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing we can agree on is that this series is a lot less clear-cut than the Carolina-Boston series. But who knows? With the way these playoffs have gone, maybe Carolina pulls off another upset. You really you really never know in these playoffs. So I'm not counting anyone out. But yeah, my predictions are Blues in 7, and I'd say Bruins in 5.
Yep. I think we can agree on that. And then, I'm not going to go too far ahead, but I'm going to say the Bruins are going to win the cup.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fair.
Any other remarks for the playoff talk before we jump into players?
I think we've covered it. All. I'm gonna say as a sleeper pick, just to be the contrarian here, I'm gonna say that the Blues win their first ever Stanley Cup. Because I'm just going. I don't know.
I knew it.
The Blues, it's a great story. I understand Jumbo Joe and all this stuff. I just really want to see the Blues win their Stanley Cup. Do you want to know something funny? How many times have the Blues been to the Stanley Cup final?
Once.
They've been to the Stanley Cup final 3 times. How many games do you think they won in the Stanley Cup final?
3.
A 0.
Really?
A 0. And the reason is a little bit of NHL history for you. Basically, when they added 6 teams in the expansion, went to 12 teams. All the new teams were in another conference. So they were the best expansion team, but as soon as they got to the final, they met an NHL team that was already built up, and they just got creamed for 3 years in a row. So, and they've never been back since. So, I really feel bad for Blues fans. I think they they deserve, something to celebrate about, something to cheer about.
Wow. Look at me learning something every day.
Yeah, exactly. The more you know, this has been the educational section of Young Guns.
Tune in for some educational.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, like you said, anything at this point can happen in the playoffs. I think the first Blue Jackets sweeping Tampa just established that for this playoff run.
That's setting the tone for how bonkers it's been. But I love it, honestly. It's better when it's unpredictable.
If we want to go, instead of talking about teams, let's go into players. So let's talk about the dark horse, the choker, and then the fire guy, like we did in the past episode. Dark horse is kind of the guy that you don't really expect to make that big of a difference. Although my pick might be a bit controversial, I would say David Pastrnak is going to be my dark horse because I think that recently he's not been himself. Like he's not like usually he should score like every 2 games or every game.
Yeah.
And like I don't think he's done that recently, so I think that this round he's gonna like prove himself again to be this sniper. And I think that if he starts doing that, then clearly that's gonna be Bruins in 4. Because like if Pasta shows up on top of Marchand and like the Coyle and Johansson guys, I just think that that's gonna
Yeah.
be like so easy for them.
And the top line starts dominating again. Well, it's already been dominating,
Yeah,
but it really starts, chewing
yeah,
down
being
on
in
the
itself.
opposition.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I can definitely see why you'd pick that. Uh, I'm gonna go a little bit off the board, and I'm gonna say the Mac Attack, Curtis McElhaney. And the reason I say that is because Mrazek hasn't been playing that good. In the playoffs, he's a 907 as we speak, and Curtis McElhaney he already has 3 wins in these playoffs, if you can believe it. And that's due to injury, and also Mrazek I think got pulled at one point, but he's stepped in, gotten 3 wins, and he's been pretty lights out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Carolina go for Curtis McElhaney in this third round if Mrazek falters. And so far, I don't think that that's really out of the question. So I know people are going to call me a little bit crazy on that one, but I'm going to go with Curtis McElhaney.
yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think he's established himself as like a guy that can win in the playoffs. Especially like you said, he's got 3 wins already. And yeah, I think that your pick is totally valuable. And yeah, I'd agree with you if I would have picked David Pastrnak.
Yeah, see, goalies are being discriminated against all the time. Can't believe this. No, I'm kidding.
Well, talking about goalies, in
Yeah.
my section for choker, I said that either Jones or Bennington is going to choke and is going to cost the other team the series.
Yep.
For some reason, I know they're both good, but I just think that at some point there comes a time where your goalie is going to cost you a game, or maybe even a series, like Raska did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I think that Jones or Bennington are going to be those goalies this year, and that will cost a lot to that team.
Yeah, I mean, you could even think back to Vegas last year when Fleury was so lights out in the first 3 rounds, but when he got to the Stanley Cup final, he wasn't quite there anymore. These teams need their guys to be there. They need to be at the top of their game. And even if they falter a little bit, then that's going to cost their team the series. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like who's going to blink first, who's going to flinch, and is that going to, well, I just, especially when you consider the fact that San Jose, without Martin Jones playing at the top of his game, lost their first 2 games in such convincing fashion. Like, it's basically make or break for both these teams.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking at the game currently, and San Jose has 5 goals on 21 shots.
Oh boy.
And only 1 power play goal. So that's not looking good. And then the Blues have 2 goals and 19 shots. No power play goals. So like
Which
right
is fine.
then and there, yeah, that's fine. But like 5 goals on 21 shots, that's not good.
But then again, like
So
looking at
I
the
might be
stats might be misleading. Maybe the team's not playing the best. But yeah. No, whatever the case may be, no matter how the team is playing, they need their guys to be the stopgap.
Exactly what you're saying. I agree with that.
All right, we want to move on to our last picks here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last picks are the fire guys, which is basically the people that are really going to turn it on and carry their team to victory here. So I don't know if you want to start with your pick.
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna keep it with a goalie this time. I'm gonna surprise you here, and I'm gonna say Tuukka Rask is just gonna keep it rolling. He's been really good against Toronto. He's been really good against Columbus, but I think he's going to really turn it up this round and just like dominate completely and maybe actually like win this series by himself for the Bruins.
Yep. I mean, the way he's been playing, I definitely think that's even likely. But the guy I'm gonna pick is the guy that you were talking about when we said about the San Jose Sharks. Burns, he's been so dependable lately, and he's been logging such big minutes. I just, if let's say the San Jose Sharks win the cup, maybe Martin Jones could be in the conversation, but like, who would you give the Conn Smythe to if not for Burns, right? It's like he's really the driving force behind this push that the San Jose Sharks are making. So I definitely have to give it to Brent Burns.
I mean, currently he's a point per game guy, and he's a D man.
He's a defenseman. That's insane.
Unreal.
Like, he does it all. He moves the puck. Like, Erik Karlsson was meant to be the big puck mover, and I think he has like 12 assists or something. So he definitely is moving the puck. But I mean, that's such a big part of your success in this modern league is blue liners that can put up the points and cycle it and make that breakout pass and skate with it. And Burns is doing all of that right now for his team.
The only guy I would see is maybe Couture winning the Conn Smythe because he's really good. But then again, I would give it to Burns.
Yeah.
Unless like Jones completely steals like the next rounds, I would give it to Burns. That's even if they win the cup. But yeah, I think that for our picks for like Dark Horse, Choker, and Fire Guy, I think that we're going to see in the next like few weeks if we were right or not. But I think that those picks are going to become fruitful.
Yeah. Either way, what we can say about Rask and Burns is that they're the reason that their team has been allowed to have success up until this point. We'll see if they can keep it up. But up until this point, they've really been dependable.
Yeah, exactly. Out of this playoff talk, I think we can wrap it up now and actually wrap up this podcast by maybe talking about something that's outside this scope. Let's talk about the EEHF.
Or IIHF?
Yeah. IIHF, yeah, sorry, my French.
Yeah.
I had 2 points. I don't know if you had any, but the first one was Kako. I don't know if you saw him, but he has 5 goals in 2 games.
Yeah,
he's been completely like his every goal is like unreal. It's crazy, and I'm just like I saw a lot about news.
I'm so excited as a low-key Rangers fan. I'm so excited. It's just insane. He's so great.
Yeah, that's true.
The fantastic Finn.
I mean, you either get Hughes or Kako.
Which is just, it's so good. Like, you can't really go wrong. But honestly, at this point, I might rather Kako because he's big.
Yeah.
He's like bigger than Hughes. He can, and like, I don't know if you remember the goal because like all the goals are amazing. But there's this one goal where he split the D and he's on 1 foot and he pulls it to his backhand. Like, he's so strong to stay on his feet there and get it. Like, that's determination, but it's also strength. So.
He actually makes me think of myself. I'm kidding.
Yeah, he just on the ice. He just reminds me of me.
No,
he's still got a lot to learn, but
yeah, exactly. He's still young. I know, but I actually think that the players are like different. But I think there was more hype on Hughes. But I think now the hype is gonna ramp up for Kako now that he's like playing on like this big, like.
The big stage.
TV, like he's actually, big stage. That was.
Yeah. Well, going on to the second topic, we got Canada losing its first game, which is actually kind of synonymous to a larger thing that I think it is that hockey is becoming more international, and I like that it is becoming more international because not only did Canada lose its first game, but you got Slovakia beating the U.S. and things like this, and yeah, you can make the argument that some of the stars are still in the playoffs right now, but the fact that hockey is becoming more international and you got these underdogs that are pulling off wins, I really like it. I think it's good for the game. I think it's healthy, and hopefully it promotes even more competition and generates more excitement for the game that we all love.
Yeah, I think it brings hope to every team. Like before, you knew that, let's say Germany was going against Canada, you knew they were going to get a beating, like 20 to something. But now you can actually expect a good fight, and they might actually lose. I think it just makes it a bit more nerve wracking, and it's not like, oh, who are we going to play in the finals? It's like, are we actually going to make the finals?
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of want to cheer more now that your team's like in need, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know
Um,
what I mean.
something something a little bit off the radar that people won't know, but I was actually born in France, and if this is very unlikely, but if France ends up winning anything, I'm gonna be a very proud man. So seeing these supposed titans kind of clashing with each other and having some unexpected results, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but it's really exciting, especially for it's also a testament to, for example, the Finns. Like their program has been so good. They've been developing such good guys, and you're talking about Kako, but also as Canadians fans, obviously we know about Kotkaniemi, and there's so many Finns that have been coming
Oh
into the
yeah.
league and just like tearing it up. So it really cements them as this powerhouse, and it's a testament to how well they've been developing their talent as a country.
Yeah, honestly, I like knowing that the current like countries are able to cement themselves, like you said. It's like factories of hockey players, kind of.
Yeah, no, they're churning them out, and it's definitely it makes it even more fun. Hopefully, we see the Finnish connection on the Canadians there. I think it was like Armia Kotkaniemi Lehkonen. It worked pretty well, so maybe we'll see that
Yeah.
again. All right, guys. I think that concludes our fourth episode of Young Guns. Thanks so much for listening. If you made it to the end here, leave a comment. We love to hear your feedback. Whether it be what we should talk about or what you liked, what you didn't like, whatever it may be. Leave a comment. Remember to like, subscribe, or just follow if you're on SoundCloud. We're on multiple platforms, so check out the links in the description. Um, and yeah, we'll see you back here next episode.
Thank you very much.